All right, cool. Welcome back to Griff Guide Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Griffin, and today joining me is my chaos coordinator, HR director, doer of all things around the office, Megan Nunan. Thanks for joining us, Megan.
Oh, you're welcome very
Appreciate it.
much.
So, Megan, I guess give me a little bit of your, let's go backwards and let's talk about your background a little bit and how you came to love HR and managing offices. And I don't know. We'll jump back and forth. We're going to just go back and forth, back and
Okay,
forth, and
sounds great.
just talk about, how you started and maybe high school background, things like that.
All right. So I was born in Lawrence, Mass. No, just kidding. No, when I was in high school, I went to Whittier Tech, which is obviously a technical high school. So I was
Mm-hmm.
around a lot of trades people and things like that. And I was in electrical for like 2 months. And then I was like, I don't like being around boys all the time.
Yep.
So I
Yeah, that worked out
I
well.
know. Look at where I am now.
Yep.
No, I switched to cosmetology, um, which I did before, I
Right.
started coming to work for you. Um, and what else? Yeah, so I went into cosmetology, got my license my senior year of high school. And then the deal that I made with my parents, if I was going into cosmetology, I was going to go to college. So I went to college and I got my business degree at Salem State.
Huh.
Hmm.
You learn something new every day. I had no idea. So your intention this entire time was to become a hairdresser.
Hmm.
It was not like, hey, I'm going to jump into an office and manage that. So you had no intention of ever doing anything like this, really.
Not that I didn't have like any intention, I just didn't have a plan. So it
Oh,
was kind of just like my parents were like, "Hey, we want you to go to college. We want you to get a degree if you're going to be in cosmetology."
yeah.
They kind of saw like some people that they knew that were in like the hairdressing field just like not making a ton of money.
Yeah, that's fair.
But that's like kind of the difference between a hairdresser and a hairstylist, I would say.
Yeah.
Um, and I was more aspiring to be a hairstylist, obviously.
Right.
And then so I was like, okay, I guess I'll go to college. Like, that's fine. So I went to Salem State and I got my business degree. But I actually went for psychology and criminal justice. I wanted to be either a guidance counselor at a high school
Okay.
or I wanted to help like the military and veterans and stuff like that
Okay.
cope with like
Like the
PTSD.
PTSD stuff.
Hmm.
Cool. Cool. That's pretty funny. So you wanted to become a high school guidance counselor. Congratulations. You are technically a high school guidance counselor now.
I know.
With dealing with us every day and us talking about our problems, you already get to do that as a
Yeah.
part of your job.
Yeah.
Not exclusive, which is kind of cool.
It's honestly, sometimes I feel like same level of drama. I'm like, okay,
Oh
I
no, it
feel like
definitely is. It
I'm like,
depends on what's going on and who's going through what at the moment.
yeah, no,
Sometimes
definitely.
it's wildly quiet though.
Honestly, well, especially over the summer, it was like really quiet. Like we were just like
Which is
chilling.
wild because there was a lot of stuff going on over the summer that we're
I
not going to
know.
talk about on the show. Eventually, we'll dive into that, but
I know that firsthand.
yeah, we saw some things. We did some things.
Yes.
There was some crazy things going on.
The flashbacks, they're coming back.
So that's crazy. So you had no intention of going in and doing anything with business, really, at the end of the day.
Nope.
That's wild because a lot of people, it's like they go into business because they're like, I have whatever, I'm just going to go get a degree. You went and got a business degree, really saying, I don't even want this degree. I'm just doing it because I should have it in my back pocket. And it turns out that you're extremely talented on that side of the coin.
Thank you very much.
You're
Not to
welcome.
flatter me.
No, but it is true, Megan. I mean, for somebody who had, I think P&G probably had a lot to do with you having the experience for sure,
Yeah.
but still to be able to go out of college and be like, yeah, I want to be a hairstylist. And then you jumped into one company and
Mhm.
then the next company. And then you got to the salon and you're like, okay, like I'm doing this now. This is cool.
Yep.
And then I got you.
Mhm.
And now you just have leveled up as far as like business style
Yeah.
and job roles and responsibilities. You really escalated that trajectory.
Yeah. So I hated psychology and that's why I changed to business because it
No
was just
kidding.
like I took my first general psychology class and I was like, "Oh, this is so cool." And then every psychology class after that, I was like, "Okay, I'm bored." Like it's the same
Really,
stuff
it just went
over.
downhill.
Yeah. So then I switched to marketing in college
That makes sense.
for business. And
Yep,
then I was like, "I don't want to do this. I want to deal with people more." So then I switched to HR and
makes sense.
that's like where I kind of found my groove and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and business classes just like made sense to me. They're very straightforward. It's like these are the facts, and that's kind of just me as a person.
Right.
So,
It fits you very well.
yeah. So I was just like, okay, like this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my degree in it,
Yeah.
and we're just going to go from here and see what happens.
Interesting.
And then I graduated into the pandemic, so it was just like looking for a job was a pain. And
Yeah, but you ended up at like, I mean, to end up at Gillette is like kind of a big deal.
yeah, well, I started not at Gillette.
No, I know, but you got your feet wet at another
Yeah.
company that was wildly unorganized.
Yes.
Even more than we were when you showed up.
Yeah. Yeah. His name was also Jeremy.
Yep.
And he did the foundation stuff, and I was the only person in the office. And I mean, I worked from home because COVID, and he didn't have an office anyways.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I stayed there, I'd probably be doing the same stuff that I'm doing for him.
Probably not on
Not on the same
grand of a
level.
scale.
No,
No,
but
not
like
even
the
close.
same,
Yeah.
like I didn't do payroll there or anything like that.
Right.
So.
But you definitely, I don't think you'd be working with like big companies like Insperity and
Yeah, no, definitely not.
American Funds and stuff like
No,
that.
he didn't have that stuff set up.
Yeah. Did he have a lot of people working for him? I never even really dove into that.
No, not really.
Was it just like one
It was like,
crew?
yeah, one crew. We
of-
would split them occasionally,
Okay.
depending on how big the jobs were.
Yeah.
And he just kind of sent them out. And a lot, like in the winter time when things were, how it goes, it just
Yeah.
kind of settles down a little bit after Christmas time.
Yep.
And like I remember the January that I was working there, he's like, Meg, like, come on, like we got to get more leads, like all this stuff. And I'm like, I can only do so much. Like I can only call so many people
Right.
for you. Like I can't really do much about it. My hands are tied.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then from there we just kept going, and then he ended up breaking his leg, and then that was like my breaking point because a foundation fell on him.
Oh damn! I didn't know that.
Yep, and broke his femur, I believe.
Oh shoot!
So he was like on painkillers and stuff like that because of the break, and so I basically was running everything and with the help
So you
of
were calling the guys and saying, "I need you to go here. I need you to go there."
Yep.
Whoa.
And so he kind of set it up so like the foreman, like the head guy that he had, was helping me. Like he was great. He was such a great guy. And he helped like kind of facilitate the guys and things like that. But like I was really just like leading the charge for a couple weeks. And then I remember I put my 2 weeks in, and he was like starting to get better at that point. And I felt so bad. And he's like, is there any way that like I can keep you? And I'm like, no. But
well, I mean, is that at that point, is that when you jumped over
Gillette.
Yeah. See, I probably would have done the same thing. I'm like, all right, I'm working for chaos here, and I have an opportunity to go into a big corp America and really understand how to run things.
Yeah. Which I didn't love it, but it was all
but
right.
you probably, I'm assuming,
I learned
working
a crap ton.
Yeah, right. Then that transitioned and proved itself when you came over to us. You're like, hey, you guys ever heard of QuickBooks before? Or, hey, have you ever heard of what's the other one? Concur. You're like, do you guys track your receipts? Do you keep track of anything? And we're like, yeah, like stock bills. What about personal receipts for gas and stuff? And we're like, yeah, kind of, but not really. We just do reimbursements. And you're like, no.
Well, when I came in, it was just chaotic in general because it was kind of, you were just coming into the office too.
Right.
So it was kind of, we were still, not only was I learning the job, but like
we were learning how
both
to
learning
run the
together.
Company because it was just like someone has to do this. We can't all go out into the field all the time.
Exactly. And, obviously we had some hiccups in the road when I first started.
Yeah.
And, but I just remember like every day, like I was so excited to come into the office every day because I knew that there was something new that like I could tackle every single day.
I mean, there still is now.
Yeah, exactly. And, so I would come into the office and I'd be like, okay, what can I organize today? Because there was always something new. And when you told me that you didn't track, because like multiple people had credit cards, like we had just gotten the credit cards, multiple people had them at that point.
That's right.
You, Jeff, Josh, you got one for me. Mark had one.
I think there was maybe 1 or 2 other people that had them at that point.
I don't know if any of the guys had them at that point.
Okay, but still, you're talking 5 or 6 floating around.
And I knew if we were going to give them to anybody else, I was like, we need to track this at some point because if we're not tracking what they're spending or at least looking over what they're spending, it can go crazy.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like everybody's pretty responsible.
Oh,
with
100%.
It now,
yeah.
I think they understand like the value of it, but there's definitely certain individuals had they continued to work for us, this was before you.
Mm.
There's certain individuals that came and worked for us. Had they continued to work there, I think I probably would have had some major issues at some point down the road.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
could see that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. That was definitely a learning curve for both of us trying to go in there and be like, all right, how do we do this? How do
Yeah.
we run this? How do we make it and efficiency wasn't even on the map at that point. We were
No.
just like, how
Trying
do we
to
make this
do
thing
it.
run without any hiccups during the day?
Yeah.
And now I feel like it's finally running smooth enough where we're not getting calls and things aren't getting like really, really fucked up all the time.
Yeah.
It's just like sometimes we have problems now, which is
Yeah.
fine. Sometimes it's better than, every day.
Well, I feel like also too, I think back, especially since I just hit my 1 year with you guys.
Yep.
I think back to when we ended our relationship with a certain individual that was kind of coinciding with my job,
Yeah.
like answering the phones, and we got Jasmine.
Yep.
And I remember we were walking around the parking lot, and he's like, you were like, I don't know, like what we should do. Like, should we bring someone on? I was like, no, I have it handled. Like, it's fine. Like, I'm fine. And then we met Jasmine and we brought her on, right?
Yeah.
Because you like did not believe that I had it handled. But
Well, not that I didn't believe, but I knew you were going to need help at some
yes,
point, which ended up proving to be true.
yes. So as soon as we brought Jasmine on and we kind of boarded her, and then now like looking back, I'm like, holy crap! Like if I didn't have Jasmine,
Oh yeah,
I
ship
would
would have sank
be
100%.
screwed.
Yep.
She is like probably the best team member on any job that I've ever had.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, it helps to just have somebody that you're like, Jasmine, can you do X, Y, and Z? And she's like, yep.
mhm.
And you're like, hey, Jasmine, how are we making out? And she's like,
It's already done.
yeah,
Been done
like
for 3
I
hours.
did it like 2.5 hours ago. Did you look? I sent it to you. Did you look at it?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, sorry. I'll bite my tongue on that one. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, no, every single time. But I knew that we were going to need somebody because the plans and things that we had kind of set forth with growing and adding people,
Mhm.
I was like, I think Megan can handle it. But at the same time, I'm like, when we get to a point where we have that many people, like we're up to almost 20 people now, right?
Yeah.
19. So
Yeah.
it's like when you have that many people in communication every single day, it makes it very hard for one person to orchestrate that.
It does.
Like even for me to be like, okay, I know what I still can come into work and not know what everybody's doing all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think between me and Jasmine, I mean, now, we're bringing on more people, but before we brought on those people, between me and Jasmine, we kind of had it under control.
Yeah.
And then, we had Mark too. So like he was helpful. But me and Jasmine were really the ones running the schedule and just making sure that everybody was where they were supposed to be. Maybe not tapping on my way and stuff, but
Yep.
we were at least calling them so we knew where they were.
Yep.
And then if they weren't, we were like, okay, like who do we call? And like,
Speed it up. How do
yeah,
we restructure the schedule?
exactly.
I think it was at least good that we finally got to a point now where we're not. We don't have to rework the sketch. You remember when we ran into those problems and I'd literally come in the morning and me and you would look at each other and be like, all right, how are we reworking the schedule today?
Like every single day.
That was
for,
every
like,
day for like
weeks.
2 months. It was like
Yeah.
almost what, a month and a half
It was
probably
a long
before we
time.
got it under control. I
Yeah.
mean, dude, going in every single morning and knowing I had to help you figure out how to coordinate the schedule, I
Mhm.
was like, why are we dealing with this? That was actually
Yeah.
probably one of the most aggravating out of everything that we've done and all the people we've had to let go and all of the disciplinary action we've had to take with certain individuals and write-ups and performance reviews and all
Mhm.
that's out of everything, every project, that was the most difficult thing that we had to do for like a month and a half was rework the schedule every day when we came in.
Yeah. I
That
agree.
was the most frustrating thing I've ever dealt with in my life
Mhm.
in the business.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was, I don't know why it was so frustrating, but it seemed like every single time.
I just feel like there was always an issue. Like
Well, yeah, it was
whether
like we can't send this person here
or they were sick
yeah,
or
whatever the case was,
Yeah.
and or somebody called and needed to reschedule, so then we were jockeying people around. For some reason, now it seems like it's a lot more easy to handle.
Well, I feel like not as many people call out.
Well, and everybody knows their role now too, which is
Mhm.
huge.
Yeah.
Very crucial. Now everybody knows what they're doing, they know how to do it. There's no question. Even the people that are coming up through the ranks now that are like new to being on their own or new to running their own truck are still competent enough where they can like, like
Yeah.
they can get by with like a couple phone calls maybe.
Yeah.
They might not even
Well,
need that.
I mean, also look at the progress that the 2 people who are running trucks right now, right?
Yeah.
They were running in their own truck together
Right. That's
for
true. And even before that, they were riding around with other technicians.
yeah.
So to have that flip over in like what, 8 months, 9 months,
Yep.
something like that is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I agree. I just it's funny, like, I think about it often, just, like, the amount of progress that's been made in a year,
Oh yeah,
and
it's
it's
pretty
huge.
impressive.
It's huge.
I see. I have to. I sit back all the time and like discredit like myself and go, dude, you haven't really done anything yet. Like, there's nothing that's been accomplished yet.
Well, I think the biggest thing that you've done is you've created a team that can do it for you.
Well, yeah, that's
Like,
true.
that's and not
I
that
just
you
feel
don't
like
do
I
it.
really didn't play a part in it for some reason, or like I
Well,
don't. I'm not responsible for anything.
you're like the orchestrator or, like, what's the person in the front? The conductor,
Conductor,
that's the
yeah,
word, for an orchestra.
yeah.
Yeah,
You don't necessarily need to know how to play every instrument. You just got to sit there and make sure that it runs smoothly, all the pieces.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And then you have to deal with the objections and the issues.
Yeah,
Like
and
people calling and saying, "Hey, I just got a quote for a job that you guys wanted to do for us, and the cost is 50% of what you charged."
yeah.
And we're like, "Ooh."
Those are my favorite, or just people who don't wanna pay their
Well,
bill.
people just don't understand the value in what we do. And I have this conversation with, I've had this conversation now with like 5 different people that have been on the show. And what a lot of people don't understand when they call us is, like, it's not the me and Jeff show anymore. It's not just me and Jeff running around in trucks. And like a lot of people still think that's what it is.
Yeah,
And that's not at all the case. And that's why when people are like, wow, I don't understand why you guys are so expensive. It's like, well, dude, we have to pay 20 people salaries. And on
yep,
top of that, we give them benefits and we do all these other things to make sure they're high. Dave he did a great job putting it into perspective. We do so much to train and make sure that the guys have all the resources in the world to do their job effectively. That's why you have to charge so much. If you want something done very well and efficiently, and you know, you want to have a support system behind it, you really like it comes at a cost.
yeah,
It comes at a cost. You can't do it for 50%. It's just not even possible.
yep. I I just feel like we have such, like a tight working team as far as, like, how well we, how well we move and get going and, just make everything happen for people.
Yeah.
And not just the technicians, but, like, the office staff too. We make sure the contract's sent out. We make sure that your billing's done. We make sure if you have a question that you need or anything like
Yeah, we
that.
can get it answered in a
Exactly.
timely
Like,
fashion too.
immediately.
We
Yeah.
want it done. We want answers out as quickly as possible.
Exactly, and, like, if someone in the office isn't available to answer a question, me or Jasmine are calling a
Whoever,
technician or yeah,
doesn't
whoever
matter.
we can get a hold of
Yeah.
just to get some sort of answer to this person, even if it's not the answer that they're looking for.
Yeah.
So,
I think there's a lot of value in that. And maybe, I mean, so I think we definitely have a bunch of clients that understand the value in what we do. And that reflects on our reviews all the time.
100%.
You know, Sophia and I, when Sophia was on the show, we didn't talk about this, but we did we ran a report on all our reviews to try to figure out what the biggest points that we hit on were every single time, or what people were always, reiterating in every review. And it was always professionalism.
Mhm.
Professionalism or responsiveness were like the two big things that came up.
Yep.
Which, I mean, there's a lot to be said for that repeatedly coming up. Professionalism, professionalism, professionalism. I like to think we run our company in like the best way we possibly can to make sure people are getting taken care of, like you said,
Yeah,
you know?
and I've seen many other plumbing companies' reviews because either people will call and say, "Oh, well, I used to work with this company and I don't really like them anymore," or whatever it is, and I will go look at their review and just see like,
What's the
yeah,
big,
why don't they like them? And all of them, they never have 5 stars,
yeah.
never, and I don't think
There's
once.
very few companies out there that hold a like a like an actual true 5-star
Yep.
value.
And then also, usually the reviews are like, they wouldn't call me back, they wouldn't give me an answer, they wouldn't come back and fix their mistake,
Yeah,
like,
they
things like
dragged
that.
out the job longer than expected,
Yep.
and I hate hearing that when
Yeah.
people are like, and granted, you can't always predict how the schedule is going to run and how accurate you're going to be with everything, but I feel like we have a good enough team now with everybody understanding how things run and how people operate that we can say, yeah, we can almost almost guarantee that we know that this job is going to take 3.5 days. And if
Yeah.
it runs for 4, we're like, well, all right, sorry, we were in your house for an extra 4
Yeah.
hours. Like, I don't feel like that's a big thing for people.
No, I feel like they're usually more upset if you take less time
Yeah.
because they're like, "You charged me all this money and now
Yeah,
you're
they're
only
like,
taking,
you
like, a
got the
day."
job done in 6 hours and it
Mhm.
was supposed to take 2 days. And it's like, even, it's funny you bring that up because I will bring that up to, so I talked to that guy, Jeff,
Mhm.
that runs our price book for us. And I told him he was talking about boiler installations and he was like, "Oh, do you guys prefab your boilers, this and that and the other thing?" And we got into it and started talking about like our process versus like what he used to do. So
Mhm.
he would prefab, say like a 4-zone boiler, high efficiency boiler, and he said it would take his guys like 3 days.
Wow.
And I was like, "Yeah, Jeff, I mean, if everything's like all the stars are aligned,
We
buddy,
do it in,
like
like, a day.
we can probably do it in less than 8 hours." And he was like, "Holy shit." He's
Mhm.
like, "And you guys don't prefab anything?" I was like, "No, we're just like, we run very efficiently on our
Mhm.
boiler installations." And he was shocked by that. And this is a guy that ran a company of like 100 plus people.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is, like, when you guys go onto a boiler install and, like, I've never been on one, but this is what I understand from, like, what's been told to me.
Yep.
You either have Josh or Jeff,
Yeah.
right? And they are running the ship.
Yeah.
And then everybody else just, like, knows where they need to be, knows what they need to do, like, as soon as they get on the job.
Oh, yeah.
And so they just start bringing stuff in, they put down all, like, the drape thingies and,
Yep.
like,
You're not going to
whatever.
find a company that efficient. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. And I would love to see what people say in the comments and stuff, but you're never going to find, I mean, I don't want to boast here and say that we're the best, but I would say we're probably up there in the top.
Yeah.
Because even, when we went to Renai,
Mhm.
right? So we went to Renai, we sat in front of the CEO of Renai America. We sat in front of the head of engineering for Renai America.
Mhm.
And she goes, "Hey guys," and mind you, we're in a panel with like 200 plus tradesmen.
Mhm.
And then those two people sitting up front. She goes, "Guys, I'd really like to try to figure out a way to make these jobs more efficient for you. How can we help you? Our goal is to be able to get you guys to do a tankless in a day."
Mhm.
And me and Josh, when she said that, me and Josh looked at each other and go, like, I raised my hand and I was like, "Ma'am, like, I don't know how everybody else operates here, but my team with 2 or 3 guys can do a multi-zone boiler in one day."
Mhm.
And at that point, and mind you, you had plumbers from New York, you had guys from Florida, all over the country, every single different region of the country. They all looked at us and they were just like, "What the fuck?"
Mhm.
They're like, "How are you?" Well, some of the guys were like, "I don't even know what a boiler is." But the
Yeah.
guys who knew were just like, "How the fuck are you guys doing it that fast?"
Mhm.
And we're like, "Dude, we just like, we know every single piece that needs to be cut. The guys know exactly how many fittings to pull out." Like, when I tell you, it's like you've heard, it's a well-oiled machine. They
Yeah.
drop, we roll the pack out down in the basement, set everything up, and instantly the ratchets are going, wrenches, everything's flying.
Mhm.
And there's definitely been there's been a lot of people within the company that have helped us improve the efficiency. I mean,
Yeah.
one thing that we do on every single job, which seems like just like an everyday thing, an everyday occurrence now, but the Milwaukee packouts that we have that are stocked with fittings,
Yeah.
Rob Collins was the one that started that.
Hmm.
So when Rob started working for us in like I think it was probably August of 2020. So this is still like the middle, or not the middle of COVID, but still
Yeah.
COVID time.
Mhm.
Um, we were running around, we had boxes of fittings and
Yeah.
we were just using cardboard boxes. And he says, "Guys, there's got to be a way to make this more efficient." He's like, "Can I order a Milwaukee pack out and organize it?" And I'm like, at the time, I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I guess, dude, that's fine." And we were like, "Okay." So we ordered Milwaukee packouts. Me and Rob went out to Jeff's shed.
Mhm.
We ordered a bunch of fittings that we knew we used on every job and stocked the pack out.
Mhm.
We put pumps in the bottom. We put all the different pieces in there. And then I sat back and looked at it and was like, okay, this might actually do something. Probably, I'm going to say sometime, it might have been within a week.
Mhm.
I went out to a job in Woburn and it was an old cast iron boiler that's sitting there on the floor. It was me, Jeff, Rob Collins, and Mike Gagne. Now
Mhm.
that's like
A team.
I mean, if you put us there now, we probably could get a whole boiler done in like 3 hours.
Yeah.
But you had that team in front of you. We rolled the pack out down the stairs, ripped the pack out apart, dropped everything on the floor. We did that, mind you, it's a 2-zone cast iron boiler. We had that ripped out and the new one running in 6 hours.
Mhm.
And we stopped to get pizza on like in the middle of it.
Yeah.
We had it running. And at that point I knew, I was like, all right, we solved one efficiency there. And I didn't even understand efficiencies and KPIs and all that crap at the time.
Yeah.
But like, I knew, I was like, Rob figured something out that makes this job go way faster than it should. We should have been on that job for 2.5 days and we were done with it in 6 hours. And the guy was thrilled. He's like, you guys are done? Like, you can leave my house? And I was like, yeah, bro, you are all set.
Yeah.
And he was like, damn, I cannot believe you got it done that fast.
Can we just rewind to the cardboard boxes? Because that is the most Griffin thing I've
that was
ever
Jeff.
heard.
That was
that doesn't surprise
Jeff.
me.
I mean, when I started, it was aggravating to me because you would open up Jeff. So JT's truck that he drives now, the old Sprinter van that we have, you would open the side door and there would just be like
boxes,
stacked up cardboard boxes with like maybe the fittings. I think when Rob first started, I think he at least organized it into size, but like we didn't know like to stock extra or to have extra, which granted, the waste of material is like a problem to have extra, but when you're doing the job so efficiently, labor costs way more than the material does.
Yep.
So for me, I was like, damn, this is a no-brainer, because it's like, what if I have $30 extra in 3/4 fittings?
Yep.
I just save hundreds of dollars an hour by having this job get done quicker. But yeah, that's something that after that point, once I learned more about efficiencies and KPIs and how we're supposed to track everything that goes on in the company, which we're still getting even better at, and I'm really excited to see the improvements that are about to roll out. That is that was the starting point for me being like, okay, we can figure out how to do this with multiple crews and multiple people and have jobs all over the place going all the time, and be able to get everything done in a timely fashion, which now we're able to do. We can send 2 guys here to do a swap out. We can send 2 guys there to do a boiler. Those guys over there are doing the HVAC system. And it's like, at the end of the day, everybody comes back and they're like, yeah, we're like almost done. It's always, yeah, we're almost done. Or, oh yeah, we finished that. We got lunch too. The efficiencies, man. I am very proud of the team we have. Like you said,
I'm very proud of my chickadees. You're not one of them, don't worry.
Now, mind you, all these chickadees are like 30-year-old bearded men with tattoos. Like, they look much more disheveled than I do on a daily basis when they roll in, but those guys know how to work.
They do. They do look more disheveled, and also they do know how to work.
Yeah.
But they are still my chickadees.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I love them so much. They are my little chickadees. And I just want to take care of them all. And I just want to corral them and take care of them. And they can just be their...
It's the high school guidance counselor speaking.
Well, I was a manager, supervisor type person at the hair salon. And I called the girls my chickadees too.
But they were all like 20.
Yeah. Well,
20-year-old girls.
What's the difference? It's fine.
All right. Well, whatever. 30-year-old men, 20-year-old girls. I guess it's the same thing at the end of the day, sure.
They're aware that I call them my chickadees. I
know,
everyone
and they don't even argue that.
No, they let it happen. And I told Jeff S. that one time, and I was like, but Jeremy said that he can't be one of my chickadees. And he was like, well, what is Jeremy? And I was like, I don't know. And then him and Connor had a good laugh about it. I don't want to know what they were talking about, so that's none of my business.
You didn't hear it? Okay,
nope.
That's fine.
I'm good. I don't want to know. There's a lot of things that the guys laugh about, and I'm good.
No, I'm with you. Some of the stuff that gets said, I'm just like, I don't want to hear it, because if I hear it, you're getting reported to Megan. You don't want to get reported to Megan and get written up. We're not dealing with that.
I feel like too, like being like an HR person in a plumbing company, like you kind of have to understand like where you're working, right? Like you can't...
You have to have thicker skin than if you worked in like corporate America back in Gillette, half the shit that we say in the office on a daily basis would probably get somebody fired. Correct me if I'm wrong.
1,000%. 1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some specific people that are in the company that I know would definitely...
I've said shit that would have got me fired before.
Yes. Every time I hear something that I don't want to hear, I just pretend I didn't hear it.
Yeah, that's
fair. Pretty much it.
That's fair.
You just have to know where you're working, and like if all of the people are on the same page, yeah, it's not great, but I don't
I don't think
personally
you're ever gonna
care.
see an improvement on that.
No, definitely not. I don't expect it
You can
either.
improve everything else, but the
Mhm.
attitudes and like how that stuff runs, you're never gonna take that out of people.
It's also like a trades guy thing, I feel like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not every trades guy, but I also grew up around tradesmen, right?
Right.
So, like, blue collar people,
Yep.
and they're all very similar types of people,
Oh yeah.
and I'm just so, like, unfazed by it. I mean, my dad was a diesel mechanic,
Right.
so all his buddies and then my uncle's buddies and
And
even
even your husband too
yeah,
was
I
a
was gonna say
mechanic,
even
so
Josh is a mechanic, so or was a mechanic, and, like, it's just,
yeah,
just
when at least when you're
inappropriate
born
things
into it and
and
like you understand how it's supposed to run, it's
yeah.
fine. Imagine if we had pulled somebody that was not like you, that was very much professional background.
Mhm.
They probably would have left. The
Oh,
reality is they probably would have
they
been so offended
probably
with what went on, they would
yeah.
have been like, "I can't. I'm sorry. I just can't
I
handle
think that
this."
there's times that, like, I was shocked that I didn't, like, not necessarily cry about what someone said to me or, like, what it was, but, like, I didn't have more of a reaction to it,
Yeah,
and I
you
was, like, surprised by myself, and I was like, "Oh, I did really good." Like,
like,
patting
I'm
myself
proud
on
of
the back.
myself that I didn't freak out at them.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But no, it's crazy sometimes, like, the things that guys say, I'm like, "Why? Why are you the
Oh,
way that
yeah.
you are?" They've also gotten really comfortable with me and Jasmine, and the nicest way to put this is they like to pass gas in front of us, um, depending on the day, and, I was like, "When did you guys get so comfortable with me that
Well,
you've just been
now
doing
it's
it?"
like you have an entire like, you have a whole staff of, like, basically, like, your older brothers.
Yes, 1000%, even
Yeah.
though I still call them my chickies,
Yeah, even though but they
regardless.
operate as your older brothers now,
Yes.
so that's what
Yeah.
you gotta deal with.
So, they'll, like, walk in the office, and I'm just like, "Why?
Yeah, you're like,
Why are you
"Bro,
the way you
really? Did
are?"
you need to do that?"
I'm like, "Can you at least open the door?" Like, come
I
on.
feel like I'm probably not in the office when that goes on.
No, it's usually either in the morning, like, if you're out of the office or if they come back from, like, jobs.
Then I'm not there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're just like they just come in the office, they say hi, give me checks, whatever it is, and then they'll be, like, chit-chatting, and then it's just, like, something. I'm like, "Why?
Yeah.
Why? Why?"
If I was in there, I'd be like, "Dude, really? What the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?"
I just ignore it usually,
That's fair.
and I just stare at my computer and
I think
pretend
they
like
just try
nothing
to get
happened.
they gotta
Oh,
try to get a
100%.
rise out of you.
That's why I don't say anything because
Yep.
I just don't
They want the little sister to get a like, they want you to be like, What are you doing?
I
What
just
the fuck
don't
is wrong
care
with you?"
enough.
I know, that's
I'm like,
fair.
"Listen, man, you do you, but can you, like, maybe do it someplace
I think
else?"
they also don't realize, like, your husband
Is exactly
is
like them.
legitimately like a 5-year-old.
He is
Some of the
something.
shit that he said when we've gone out places, I'm like, "You're hilarious, but I would fucking never say that in public."
Well, especially once he starts drinking and if he's
Oh,
vibing
yeah,
with
he
someone
gets wild.
well, okay, well, 2 things. First of all, one time we went out, it was me, you, Josh, Jasmine, and I think Kiara was
Was
working.
Josh there?
Yeah, we were sitting at the bar at Apothecary.
Oh,
We
I
went after
left
work.
pretty quick, I believe, after that.
No, you stayed, Josh left.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, so he was
Did
the
we move over to the couches that night?
No, we were sitting at, like, the high tops,
Yeah.
and then we moved to the bar.
Oh, okay, I do remember
Yep.
that.
And so Josh was, he was quoting, Step Brothers
Yeah,
to Jasmine the entire night. She was, like, crying, laughing,
yeah,
and he can quote the whole movie.
yeah, I know.
I'm like, "Okay." So she's dying, and that's just, like, one thing about Josh. And then the other thing, was Nick and Emily's wedding, which you had left at this point.
Yeah,
We were all very drunk. Me, Josh, Rachel, Zach. You know all these people.
you were loaded up.
Oh, I was
Well before I left, after all the festivities were kinda dying
yes.
down, you were beyond loaded
Oh,
up at that point.
there was one point after you left that I decided that double fisting Captain and Cokes was a good idea.
Holy Megan, what are
Yeah.
you doing, buddy?
I was living my best life.
I guess so. You were going crazy.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. I don't let loose like that very often. I
No,
don't
you were off the fucking
yeah,
rails.
I don't drink very often. I don't let loose very often. So that was the one night that I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have fun.
I get a hall pass
And
tonight.
I also feel like that's like the atmosphere that you like Nick's family, like they're just
Nick's
that group of
family,
people.
yeah, they get crazy.
Yeah,
They get
so
crazy out
I was
there.
like, I'm gonna have fun, like whatever. And
Yeah.
then Josh is drunk, Zach was drunk, Rachel was not drunk.
Yep.
And we were in adjoining rooms at the hotel. So first of all, Josh and Zach are dancing. Like
In the
what
hotel room?
no,
Oh, yeah,
on
at
the dance
wedding.
floor.
Yeah, I knew that.
So your brother Josh came up and said, I think someone's getting pregnant tonight, but I don't think it's gonna be one of you, talking to me and Rachel. because they were like grinding on each other, and then we would be like dancing with our spouses, right? And they would like find their way back to each other.
And
I'm like,
you and Rachel are just looking at each other like, yeah, dude, just let them do what they
yeah,
want.
we were just like, it is what it is at this point. So me and Rachel were just dancing together. And then we get back to the hotel room, and Zach is laying on his bed, basically passed out. And then Josh is laying in the middle of the floor between the two adjoining rooms. I have pictures too, just like laying there, like looking at
out?
Zach. No, he was looking at Zach trying to talk to him. He's like, come on, like, let's go to the after party. And Zach's like mumbling in his bed. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, those dudes, when I was watching them, so I would go up to the bar. I didn't drink that night, but I would go up to the bar with them and just be like, yeah, let me get a soda water. And like, I was going up and like drinking water, and like, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to have to pee a lot. This is whatever. And like, for every one soda water that I drank, I'm pretty sure no, it was like 3. Like Zach at one point was like, he had finished one, put it down, grabbed 2, went away, came back, finished one, put it down, grabbed 2 more. And I'm just like, holy shit, these guys can drink.
Josh and Zach went up to the bar wanting Miller Lights, because that's like their
Miller Lights are good.
That's Josh's drink, at least.
Yeah.
And they drank them out of Miller Lights. They drank
the bar out of Miller Lite. Oh, damn. I wish I was there. I would have high-fived them just for that.
Well, I don't know if it was necessarily just them. Like, it was probably the entire wedding. But they drank them out of Miller Lights. They drank them out of Michelob Ultra.
Holy crap. Dad beers.
Yeah.
Tons of dad beers.
Well, those are the beers that, like, Nick's family drinks, too.
Yeah, no, I know.
So
they let them fly, too.
Yes. So they were, and it was an open bar. So they drank them out of those, and then they switched to Bud Light, and then they went back up, and they came back to the dance floor, and they had Miller Light. I was like, I thought they didn't have any more. They were like, well, they found more. And I was like, okay. So it was just, oh my gosh. And when Josh is drunk, he did the worm twice. He did that at our wedding too. I thought he was going to break his back. He also had just got cleared from the doctor because he broke his elbow and he sprained his wrist.
Yeah.
And he had just gotten cleared from the doctor, and like the day before our wedding.
Oh my God.
Yep. At the wedding. And he was out of work for like 3 months. At the wedding, went down, did the worm, is completely fine. But I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you're like, bro, you just got cleared. You're not going to be able to go back to work because you're going to re-break your elbow.
Yeah. And I mean, like, we had our honeymoon after, and then I ended up slipping and falling and spraining my ankle, and I was in a boot for like a month and a half.
At your honeymoon?
Yeah, the last day.
No kidding. Where'd you guys go?
We went on a cruise. We went to St. Martin and St. Thomas.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So nice.
And then we were on like the private island, and it was raining, and I just like slipped and fell after the guy literally said like, be careful, don't fall. And I fell. So
I don't think I will ever. I'm going to probably, this might be a bold statement. I don't think I'm ever going to go back on a cruise ever again.
Well, you had a very unique experience on your last one.
Yeah. I don't think I'm ever going to go back.
I got to hear all about it from all sides.
You did?
Yeah. Like literally all sides.
Yeah. I don't need any more.
Well, you can go on a couples cruise.
Yeah. The next time I go on a cruise, Megan, I'm probably going to go on like a Viking cruise. And just, if I were to go on another cruise, it'd be a Viking cruise, and it would be very much just like you and me, and like,
yeah, that's it.
That's it. Like, we're not, I'm not inviting the boys. Like, we're not doing that. It's not going to be this big party. Like, it would just be like a very private, nice,
relaxing
thing. Because I just can't fucking relax with people around, especially when you go on a cruise with Nick's family. Dude, those guys the entire time were just trying to get me so wound up. And I was already wound up when I left.
Yeah.
That it was just like, you know what? Fuck it.
That's fair. I mean, that's kind of just like Nick's family in general, though. Like, they're just like, not instigators in a bad way, but like instigators like want to party.
Yeah, they're like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, we're having so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, dude, all right, cool.
Exactly.
I have to do the, yeah, dude, all right, cool thing. Like, I don't fucking know. Whatever. Yeah. Good and bad things.
I've also known Nick since preschool.
Right.
So I've been like around his family, and then his cousin Julia, we were friends in like middle school. So like I've been around his family like forever.
Right.
And like I'm just used to it at this point. I just ignore them.
No, that's fair.
But no, I think a cruise would be good.
And that's how Megan actually ended up working for me, was my friend Nick, who I actually
also
wasn't
my friend.
I was not friends with Nick. I was friends with Nick's uncle, Dave, before I even met Nick. And Nick came over to my house one day and gave me an estimate to repoint my chimney. We hit it off. We're drinking beers up on my roof.
Yep.
And I was like, all right, we can hang, buddy.
Well, Nick is the type of person that like you meet him and you just like want to be friends with him.
Oh yeah.
Like
of course.
he's just cool, you know?
Well, I knew that because it was me, Emily, and Nick.
Yep.
And we're hanging out on the peak of my roof.
Mhm.
I'm like hauling bricks up, and this is like on a Sunday. I'm like helping them haul bricks up on the roof, and I'm like, let's have a beer. It's like basically barely noontime at this
Yeah.
point. And I'm like, fuck it. And they were like, oh yeah, let's hang out. And I'm like,
Mhm.
all right, cool. I fuck with you guys. Let's hang out more. And
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah.
And now Megan works
Well,
for us.
I also knew Nick in like his like annoying phase when he was like little and annoying. So he was so cute, but he annoyed the crap out of me like a brother. Like
Yeah,
so
makes
bad.
sense.
It
He's
was
definitely
funny.
one of a kind, that kid.
Yeah. But when he found out that I got laid off, he's like, okay, like like basically was like looking out for me, right? Because
Yeah.
he is like, I'm an only child, so he's like my brother.
Yep.
And he texted me and it's like, hey, are you still looking for a job? I was like, yeah. He's like, my friend Jeremy is looking for someone in the office. And I was like, okay, is this going to be like my other
Is this
boss?
a redo of what
Yeah.
we just had happen?
Yeah. But
I feel like we had a little bit more organization there.
he did.
Just
He
a
definitely
little.
did. Well, when I walked in, I was like, okay, like we're in a basement. This is kind of weird, but
Yeah, but at least at that point we had like a real
yeah,
office
you
and
had
everything. It
everything.
wasn't
Yeah.
like I wasn't sitting there like, hey, we don't have a phone system. We don't have an
Yeah.
IT company. Like I feel like I got us like a little like I feel like I made some progress by the time you showed up and you could work with what I gave you.
Yeah, definitely. And it was just like such a weird experience coming into, a building I've never been at before. And it's just such like an undescriptive building. It's
Yeah.
just like the one next to
It's just
Wendy's.
sketchy as shit.
Yeah.
It really is.
It
It's
is.
cheap rent, but I
Yeah.
mean you
It's
can't
fair though.
complain.
Well, now I'm like, oh, this is just where I work. But
Yeah.
like coming into it as like just like a random person, I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
But I mean I got another offer.
Really? To
Yeah.
go work at another company? I never
Yeah.
knew that. I
So
knew you were working at the hair salon. I thought you were just gonna go.
yeah, well, I was working I had been at the hair salon for 2 years part-time when I was still working at Gillette.
Yeah.
But I needed something full-time.
Right.
And so my friend Rachel works at a biomedical company in Billerica.
Oh shit! I didn't even know that.
Yep. So I think it was like the finance department that they wanted me in, and I got offered the job, but it was a 6 months to like it was a contract for 6 months
Yeah.
and then would maybe transition to full time. And so
there was no guarantee there.
no. Well, so you had called me to check in with me, which I hadn't heard from you because you were working in the field and working in the office. Now I know that. Back then I did not know that. I was like,
Yeah.
why is this guy like not getting back to me?
Yep.
And so I was like, okay, like I'm going to give him another day. And then they called and I had already accepted the job from you
Oh, okay.
at this point. So I had already accepted because we kind of like went back and forth on like pay and stuff like that. And I had accepted the job from you and I was going to call the company the next day and whoever the rep called me and was like, hey, so like I was just wondering if like, you had any more thoughts on it. I just want to let you know it actually became a full-time position.
Oh shit.
Yes. Which they were offering me the same amount of money, but I was like, well, I already accepted this other job. But before I, accepted from you, I was struggling so hard to decide
Really?
of where I wanted to go because I came from corporate, right?
Right.
And the biomedical company wasn't as corporate as like corporate could be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was like, okay, do I go with a company that's smaller and I don't know like where it's going? Or do I go with a company that I know is set in stone, but I probably won't grow as fast? So
or potential for like almost no growth.
exactly.
Because in a company like that, I'm sure, what's the finance department? Like 3 people?
Yeah, exactly.
And at that point, your next step is like what, manager of the finance department and then CFO.
Yeah.
2 steps.
Yeah.
And for them to give you that, it's probably like,
Rachel took like 2 years to get to her new position where she is now. So I'm like, I could either take the risk and just see what happens, or I can go with this other company, but I decided to take the risk with you. So
well, we appreciate that. And look how far you've grown.
I know. Look at
and
where
look
I
at
am.
all the crazy shit that's gone on and all the people we've brought on board.
That is true. It's
know?
been a crazy.
How many people have we hired in one calendar year since you came on? I mean, hired and fired. It's like, holy crap. That like, or not hired and fired.
well,
but there's been a lot of people that have left.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of new people that have come in.
So people that have left, I think we're at 3 since I've been here.
That's not that bad.
And one of those people came on and then left when I was still here.
Right.
And then people that have came on was probably Well, I mean,
What,
Kyle and
10?
Kiara were not on the team yet. Like
No, I
you were in
know.
talks with them, but they weren't
Yeah.
on the team yet. So I'd say 2, 3.
Kiara, Kyle,
Kiara, Kyle,
Connor,
Connor,
Jasmine.
Jasmine. Oh, I don't know why.
Yeah,
Jasmine
you
was
just
like,
Jasmine just appeared one day and was just
well, she
there.
did.
She pretty much did appear. And for anybody that doesn't know, and I've explained this on the show before,
Mhm.
that almost all of our employees that we have did not come from the plumbing field. They've
Yeah.
all been trained. Like
Mhm.
almost entirely every single one of them, besides Kyle,
Mhm.
has been trained.
Yeah.
No one else has come into this field or even into the office and understood what they were doing.
Yeah. I think the only thing that has made it easier, at least on the office side, is me and Jasmine are very quick learners.
Yeah.
Like I think within the first like month or so of me working there, I kind of understood like, okay, this person can go on this job. This
Yeah,
is what
you
this
understood
means.
how it
Like,
had to be run, and you
yeah.
understood the technical lingo pretty fast.
Yeah. And then Jasmine came on, and luckily I was able to kind of teach her, all the things that I knew. And yeah, there were questions along the way, but like
Yeah,
she learned really quickly as
she
well.
did. She learned very fast.
Yeah. So, but she was my favorite addition to the team, not to be biased.
Who else did we had?
Well, I guess it's not in the calendar. Well, Dave.
Oh yeah, we brought on Dave,
Mm-hmm.
and then we brought on.
Well, Tommy kind of.
I mean, so yeah, it's like we brought on 6 people in one
Yeah.
year.
Well, technically 7, but that person left.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So he
And
just
we
didn't
had some
stay with
apprentices that we
us.
brought on too. I mean, imagine if we still had all of those
Well,
people here. That would have been crazy.
before I came on, you had an apprentice that started in January.
That's right, and he
And then he
started
left
around the same
too.
time as you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He started in the beginning of the month and I started at the end of the month.
Yep,
So
that was crazy.
that was crazy.
Yeah, I felt bad for him. Really
Mm.
should reach out to him at
I
some
know.
point.
He was a
maybe
nice kid.
maybe I'll call him and just check in on him to see how he's doing. I haven't
Yeah.
talked to him in probably like 6 months, but I feel like it'd probably be a good idea to be like, "Hey, you all right, buddy?" Like,
Yeah. I liked him. He was really nice.
yeah,
He
he's a
always said
nice
hi to
kid.
me.
Yeah, he always, I don't know, very courteous. Just wasn't for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, we've grown a lot. We've pretty much doubled the size of the company over a
Yeah.
year, and now we've added Cody and Rhea,
Mm-hmm.
and we have another HVAC installer, Joe, coming on
Yep.
in what, a month? Not even a month. He's
Yep.
coming on in a couple weeks, and then we
And
got
then Rob's
Rob's coming
back.
back. Fucking,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have Rob back on the show again, and I
He was
need
on
to.
the show?
Oh yeah, Rob was. I had him come on the show in November.
Oh, when he came
Yeah.
back up. Gotcha. Okay.
But I gotta bring him back in here and explain to everybody how many times now this has been like
Back and
he's
forth.
left and come back, left
Yeah.
and come back. I think this is gonna be this might be his third time back now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because what did he do? I forget. He's just it's amazing that like, and it's funny too because every single time he's left and come back, I've always had more staff and more people on.
Yep.
And now he's coming back. And Megan, when I was talking to him, so you set up like an interview for me to talk to
Yeah.
Rob. It took me an hour
To explain everything.
just to explain everything that we were working on, all the projects. And
Yep.
I know for a fact, like I couldn't hit on all the things that you know about the HR and Insperity and all the
Mhm.
benefits. I literally just gave him like
a
a
rundown.
sum of everything we were doing. And I looked down at my watch and I was like, holy shit, I literally took an hour to explain that to you.
Mhm.
I was like, we have made a lot of changes in 1 year.
Yep.
And even for him, he's like, damn, you guys got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. Well, he's gonna be added to my chickadee list.
Yeah.
So is Joe.
He's a good list. That's a good person to add to the list.
Well, they may not like it, but I'm gonna inform them on their first day, so they know what
that's
to
fair.
expect from me.
I mean, Joe's very mild mannered too.
He sounds nice.
Yeah. Did you get to talk to him at all?
Just on the phone a couple times, just
Okay.
like to set things up with
Yeah.
you.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
good. I mean, he's definitely a man of few words, but
Mhm.
he you can tell like he just like knows
Yeah.
what he's doing and is able to just kind of like
Get it done.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's a go-getter for sure. So I do appreciate that about him. I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, he sounded like a really nice kid on the phone when I
Yeah.
talked to him.
It is funny though. We just bring
Mhm.
people in from all walks of life and somehow it meshed into this wonderful team,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I feel like too, like if you bring people on, this was one of the biggest things that I learned from Gillette, right?
Mhm.
They would always take college kids straight out of college because
Okay.
they wanted to mold them to be the employee that they wanted,
Right.
right?
And that's what we're trying to
That's
do
what
here.
we're doing
Yeah.
by taking people from other places that aren't plumbers because I feel like once you're a plumber for a certain amount
You
of
get
time,
stuck in your ways
exactly,
and it's bad.
and you can't change it,
No, you can't.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, I think, what we're doing is good and we're giving people a chance who wouldn't have a chance
Yeah.
typically. So,
I mean, think about all the people that we have we've had working for us
Mm-hmm.
that have been plumbers,
Mm-hmm.
right? And most of them don't last.
Yeah.
Most of them end up leaving or whatever happens. But majority of the people that have stayed with us through and through
Mm-hmm.
were trained by us for most of their career or their
Yeah.
entire career.
Yeah.
JT literally and it's crazy that I'm even talking about this, but I literally sat down with him last week. I think it was on Thursday or Friday. He comes in the office and goes, "Hey dude, where am I at on my hours? Like, I'm just curious how many more hours I need, if I can work more, blah, 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 blah."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "JT, you're like already there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're ready to be signed off," which is wild because I remember when I remember calling him when I was in RD Murphy. I called Kyle, said, "Hey, call me, wants a plumbing job, and you have a bigger company than I do. I can't take him on. I don't even have a master's." And I called him. I said, "JT, you want a job? Come down and interview with me." And I sat down and interviewed him. And that was fucking almost 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I know. He's been with us, with you for a long time. I say us because I'm the company too.
Him and Shane are the longest standing employees we
I
have.
know.
Oh, actually Mark, but now Mark
Yeah,
unfortunately is
he's
out on medical leave. But
Poor
yeah,
guy.
it is crazy though, just watching the team dynamic grow. And to add, we're talking about adding what? So we had Cody, Rhea,
Mm-hmm.
Joe, and
And
Rob,
Rob,
and
yeah.
we're only going to be 6 months into the year, and we're going
Yep.
to be adding 4 more people.
Yeah,
That's pretty crazy.
I agree.
That's a good growth trajectory.
Yeah, I think it's good. Jeff and JT are like my two chickadees that I'm the most proud of.
Yeah.
I'm the most proud of them. They've come so far since I've started.
Yep.
And I'm very excited to see where they go. And then Cody, being a new person on the team, he is like, I mean, I already know you're ready.
But we didn't understand the high level that Cody worked at. I had Dave explain to me, Cody really knows what he's doing. But obviously when you interview somebody, and Nick, I would love your input on this because you've done a ton of hiring, firing. When somebody I'm saying, as an employer and running your own business and being in different industries over the years, you've had a lot of employees.
Yep.
And when somebody vouches for someone that you're interviewing and saying like, yeah, they really know what you're doing, I would say like 99% of the time, there's probably a little bit of falsehood to that.
Yeah. People always, I think I always ask if the reference is someone that they've worked together before, or if they're friends.
Right. In this situation, it was both.
Mm-hmm.
But friends are always gonna sugarcoat it, and it wasn't their fault, or
I feel
blah
like
blah blah.
And
undersold it.
Dude, that's the thing that was crazy with us, Nick. When we brought, I gotta have Cody on this show. When we brought Cody in, he undersold himself, and Dave, his best friend, undersold him.
Yeah.
When he came in and started doing some of the stuff that he does on Excel with his spreadsheets, I have never in my life, like, dude, people write computer programs that are as complex as this kid's spreadsheets.
Yeah, I bet.
I got to show you one of these days. It's just like,
definitely.
Seeing what that kid can do on an Excel sheet, like, blew my mind. I mean, actually, we can talk about it because this is going to be like months before this episode's out. We went in there. So I had him come in last week, Nick, and this kid literally was like, "I need to figure out your inconsistencies with your commission and what you're paying people on their commission." So this dude literally went into Excel and designed an Excel sheet that shows you how many jobs we've done, who did them, what type of call it was, what the amount sold on the job was, what the percentage of net profit was, how much that person was supposed to be making in commission, and then how many jobs they did over the course of the month. And that was just him like ripping this out in just a few hours just to start with, before he even told me what he was doing.
I like that.
Dude, color coded everything. I literally was sitting there and my jaw hit the floor.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? Like the difference between like when you're in 8th grade and the nerdy kids are running around and your teacher or your mom says, "Don't be mean to these kids because one day you're going to be working for them or you're going to need them."
You know what's funny though?
I literally just commented on that today, didn't I not?
Yeah. But
literally the truest thing I've ever heard.
It's so funny though, because you look at Cody and you're like, this kid is not.
He's not a nerd.
He's not a fucking nerd.
Oh,
bro.
no way, really?
No, dude. He's like just tatted up. Like I would say he's like somewhat rough around a little rough around the edges.
I mean, he fits in with the group.
He's super nice, fits in with the group, but outside of like the plumbing industry, he's definitely a little rough. And like you look at him and you're like, no way. And then you see what he can do and you're like, holy fuck.
Takes all kinds of kinds, I guess.
Yeah, it does, dude.
I was talking to him today, just about everything. Like things that, we've seen issues with in the past and just everything, just to kind of fill him in. Cause I mean, like, he's my counterpart. Like,
Oh, yeah.
we're going to be working hand in hand, I think.
It is wild to see, though, somebody that comes in that's at the same caliber that you're at.
Mhm.
I didn't ever think we'd see that again. And I was
Another
like,
person like me.
no, but you know what I mean, Megan.
Yeah.
I mean, to see somebody like that on one side of operations and you're
Yeah.
on the other side, I'm like, holy fuck.
Mhm.
I did not think we would get two of you.
Yeah. I just think he's just like, we just think the same, which
Yeah.
is awesome for me. Because I'll say something and he is on the same page as me. And like, maybe he's just new, so he's just trying to make me feel good. But like, I'll say something about like, like an inconsistency with one of the guys or like something like that. And he's like, yeah, I used to see that all the time. Like, he'll agree with me and then he'll be like, yeah, like it's so nice to like see someone who also understands it, because he was getting that at
His
Evolve.
past company
Yeah.
Evolved, yeah.
Just where he was taking care of literally my job, your job, Jasmine's job.
Yeah,
like
he was effectively serving as like a CEO and an
Mhm.
like HR director, office manager, like the whole bit, and he
Yeah.
was running this entire company. And they're like the same. They at that time were the same size as us.
Yep. So he just like he'll talk to me about stuff and I'm just like, wow, someone gets it.
Yeah, no, he definitely gets it. And again, somebody else that literally, I mean, this kid was like, he went from working at like, he worked at DC&E with his
Mhm.
dad, just selling carrier parts for carrier equipment,
Yep.
and then went over to FWWeb. And like, I genuinely am pretty sure, like, did he go to college? I don't
I
even
don't
think
think
he
so.
went into
No,
college.
I don't think so.
It's amazing all the people that work for us that never went to college.
Mhm.
I mean, well, Dave went to college, right?
I think so,
But I
yeah.
don't even know if he finished his degree because he ended up going into banking.
Yeah. I think he did. I think he
Did
did.
he?
I believe he did.
He probably has like a finance degree or something, but like
Yeah.
it's amazing to me that there's literally a handful. And when I mean a handful is like what, 2 people that work for us that went to
Me,
college?
Dave, Josh.
No.
Oh, he didn't go to college?
No, he did, but he never finished. He went
Oh.
to college for like a year and a half.
And then went to plumbing.
Yeah, and then went to plumbing. Same thing with
Yeah.
Kiara. She ended up leaving
Yeah.
school
Yeah.
and she didn't finish either. It's like we
Yeah.
literally don't. Beside you and Dave are the only ones that have degrees out of the entire group.
The thing that I will say about college is I wish that 18-year-old me understood that they're now, right? Like
Right.
I wouldn't have probably gotten hired at Gillette if I didn't have a degree,
Yeah.
but I feel like I could have gotten hired at jobs like this
Yeah.
without a degree,
Oh, definitely.
and I would be in much less debt.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, think about all the things you were able to take just from working at Gillette
Yeah.
and applying them here.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's probably been things in business school
Mhm.
that you were able to apply here as well.
Yeah, I do agree with that. There's honestly, actually, I almost had a law minor, and I used a lot of like the employment law, business law classes. Like what my teacher, I love that teacher. What he taught me.
And when we wrote up the handbook, you
Yep.
had a lot of input the first time. Now we're
Mhm.
not even writing our own handbooks,
Yeah.
which is actually really
Yeah.
nice. I have to get back to you on that still.
Mhm.
No, it is funny though. And I genuinely, because I'm a plumber,
Mhm.
didn't even realize. I had no understanding of how corporate structure even worked.
Yep.
And like what, even in a plumbing company, what that was supposed to look like with like an org chart and like seeing all the different positions and how that operates. Like I had no friggin' idea.
Mhm.
I didn't know that it was as complex as it is. And even in a plumbing company or plumbing and HVAC, like a home service company, there's still a shit ton of managers.
Mhm.
There's still a shit ton of people that serve all sorts of weird positions that you would never even think were a thing.
Yeah.
You have marketing directors, you have office, you have HR directors, you have office managers, you have friggin' operations managers, you have like all these different positions that when you're looking at a company like
Mhm.
128 or whatever, like
Yep.
a 100+ person company, it's like, no, there's actually people in all those positions.
Yeah. Well, even Kian.
Yeah, Steve has manager.
I
I mean,
mean,
he has a fucking what, a
Mhm.
digital integrations manager?
Yeah.
Or what is it? No, is it a digital a
Something like
technology
that.
integrations
Yeah, I
manager?
don't know.
Yeah, he like again, bigger company and he
Mhm.
has all these fucking people that I'm like, what do they even do? And he's
Yeah.
like, well, they do data entry and this and that and the other thing. And you're like,
Mhm.
holy crap, that's a full-time job.
It is though.
Getting to that level though and seeing like
Yeah.
seeing people seeing a point where you have to hire people just to do data entry for you, that's a
Mhm.
pretty wild thing.
Well, I mean, think about it. Like even outbound calling for us, it's not really.
We haven't even touched it.
Yeah, because between me and Jasmine, what we do, because she kind of does, I would say, I mean, like I'm now more so mostly HR. I do some office management stuff, but she kind of takes on like some of that role too.
It is pretty wild though that your HR shit takes up like 95% of your
Yeah.
week.
And it's funny because like it's like in my brain, it's like I don't actually have that many things to do. But then when I'm actually doing it,
Yeah, when you look at it all on paper, you're like, holy shit.
yeah. Well, I mean, between payroll, doing the 401k stuff, and then I have to like integrate QuickBooks to the payroll,
Right.
and then messaging with the lawyers, the accountants, the HR people in Insperity, trying to talk to Rob about events and like
Right. Yeah. Well,
just,
that's the other
I
thing.
know that's a little bit separate,
That
but
is separate, but Megan happens to also have a talent of event coordinating, which has helped me out huge.
yeah.
Because we pulled off the beer buyout last year, and that was a whole big thing.
That was mostly Tori though.
Yeah, that was mostly Tori, and
I can't take credit for
she
that.
has a knack for
Event
that
planning,
too.
yeah.
But I mean, it is good that we have gone through the event planning stuff now.
Yes.
Because now we know how to throw
We
a
literally
fucking
just do
wild
it.
ass event.
Yeah.
And people are like, I think it's so funny because you talk to people that are getting involved in the event, and they're like, oh well, this and that, and you're like, buddy, just shut the fuck up.
We have it handled.
We already have it handled. We are 10 steps ahead of you already.
Yeah. I feel like, I like already have an idea of like what we're doing in my head before we even talk to somebody.
Yeah.
So like,
you know how it's going to run before
Yeah.
we even call, but I think that's how we operate as a company too, though.
that's true. Like, I feel like so when I go home, my brain doesn't shut off. Like I think about work all the time. So like most of the time I'll be thinking about something that happened or something that I noticed at work, waiting to talk to you about it the next day and coming up with an action plan for that.
Mhm.
And that's the same way that my brain operates for events. So right now, as an example, I'm planning my best friend's bachelorette party.
Right.
I haven't done actually any planning yet.
But you have it all mapped out in your head.
Yes. I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to do this night. This is what we're going to do this day. Like, this is what I need to get.
I need to get better at that for like personal stuff.
Yeah,
I
know.
I'm really, I actually have really put my best foot forward here now, and I am trying fucking really hard.
We were supposed to talk about some gifts today because Valentine's Day is on Friday.
Like you had thought we needed to talk
No,
about?
you told me.
Oh yeah, I do. We need to go over that. Like,
And Valentine's Day is on Friday.
not necessarily gifts. I mean, just like the
extras.
The extras, which
Gotcha.
I need to kind of just get together. Yeah,
Okay.
we need to just make that happen quickly.
Yeah.
Which shouldn't be too tall of an ask.
No, if it just depends.
I know what I need.
Okay.
So I
That's
think
all
we
that
can make it
matters.
happen.
Yeah.
But anyway, a lot of coordination. It's coordination and communications, everything with what we do. But no, it's definitely, it's been a fucking wild ride having you on for a year, Megan. So thank you for coming on the show today. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Last minute.
Yeah, no. But yeah, I appreciate the last minute. And this is usually what I like to do, is just throw shit at people like that. I need to have Jasmine on the show at some point.
I
I'd
know.
like to probably have both of you guys on,
Mhm.
just so you guys can both talk at the same time, because I think that'd be a fun dynamic. Because
Yeah.
it is, before Cody and Dave came on, it was just me, you, and Jasmine for literally fucking months and
I
months
know.
and months and
Well,
months.
me and Jasmine's dynamic too. We're besties. We're work besties.
Yeah.
So
How long has Jasmine been in her own office over there?
since before the summer, I think.
Oh shit, okay.
Yeah,
So she's going to be
she's-
creeping up on a year pretty soon.
Well, she's gonna be here for a year in like March.
And I think we put her in her own office in like what, May?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah, she was because I remember when I came back from my cruise, she was already in her own office.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which was probably the best thing we ever did.
Well, it's nice because then she can shut the doors. Not so nice for me because A, I don't get to see her when she shuts her doors, and B, then you all are in my office talking really loud while I'm on the phone, and I'm like, my
Well,
eyes twitching.
Eventually, she's going to be out of there and doing something completely different
I know,
anyways. So
yeah.
it's not even going to matter. There'll be somebody else to fill her shoes.
Yeah.
And I it's like you always have dreams about how fast you can grow and how well you can pull it off. And
Mhm.
I'd love to be like, yeah, we can find her replacement and move her up
Yeah.
soon. But
Well,
it's
I
like,
mean,
one thing at a time.
Once we get Rhea set up and going, and if we
Yeah.
get another one, I think like another virtual
Yeah,
assistant.
Jasmine can definitely
She's gonna
start
be
to.
my stuff is gonna be trickling onto her.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
And then we just need to come up with. We have so many ideas. We're just talking about
I know.
ideas now. But thank you for coming on the show, Megan. I
Yes.
appreciate the hour you gave me.
Oh, you're
It's
welcome.
invaluable. And join us next week for our next episode. And these are all going to launch soon.
hopefully.
But that doesn't matter because they're not going to see this for literally until the summertime. So it's fine.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Summertime. It's cold right now.
I know. It sucks. It is
Yeah.
cold outside. It's terrible. That's why we have the fireplace
Oh,
going.
so
But
nice.
excellent. Join me next week for our next episode. Thank you, Megan.
Yeah, see you later.